Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Hope you are doing great. Came across this video of this man saying that he heard that there is civil war brewing. That you know what? That he's going to get his people ready. And I am saying, what is he trying to tell us? Because this is not the first time. This is not the second. This is not the third time that when they just bring up some kind of discussion and the first thing that comes to their mind is that pew. Because I remember during SNAP benefit talks, and one man said that he is going to use the Second Amendment on Black people for no reason. So what it's stopping, what it's going on. You know, the problem with these people is that they forgot that they do not even have strength, not even one single strength. As old as he looks, I am sure 18-year-old black boy would just get the jaw rolling out from his mouth. And before you know what is going on, you'll be hearing, wait, emergency. They've been looking for a way to bring problem. Why are you people really scared of being a minority? Why are you scared of being outnumbered? Because I think that is the problem. The only thing they are so good at is peeping and lean and chin. Why? Because that is something your ancestors were used to. You all want to continue from where they stopped. Now, and let me tell you this. If you are looking for somebody, why not start with your own community? Why not? Let's get into this video.
I've been hearing that there's a civil war brewing. So Republican men, who grab our rifles, women too, and Democratic men, women, he, she, they, them, it, up, down, left, right, you'll grab your vibrators.
I've talked about this before and people get really uncomfortable with this conversation, but the reason that there's such large pushback from American conservatives when it comes to anything remotely progressive or anything that has an ounce of equality with policy is because we are so close to white people becoming a minority in America and they are terrified of it. The thought of being a minority to them is like, just kill me. To them, it's just like, just fucking kill me. What's even the point? Because they know that over 200 years of generational benefits that are just handed out to them will be gone within a matter of probably a couple decades at the longest. If, of course, white people were to become a minority, which it will happen, okay? They can think that they can slow this down all they want. They can think that the policy that they're trying to enact is going to somehow stop it from happening. It's going to happen. And I'm not concerned with it and I don't care, but I am quite fearful for when that shift does inevitably happen because it will to see the pushback from white American conservatives because I don't think it's going to be good.
Hi, I'm Kylie, and white conservatives are terrified of POC outnumbering us. And I truly believe this is the motivation behind a lot of hateful policies in the US. If you haven't heard of the Great Replacement Theory, it is that over time, if enough Black and brown immigrants come to the US, as well as white people having children with POC, then over time, POC will outnumber white people. And the reason that this is so unsettling to a lot of white people, especially conservative white people, is that they are terrified that if POC become in power, then they will treat us like we've treated them in the past, which is obviously not great. It involves subjugation of people, enslavement, assault, violence of basically every kind. And I think that white people can feel the shift happening as they are becoming more and more outnumbered. And that is why they are clinging so tightly to power in Congress and with the president right now. And that's why it's so funny when white people deny that racism exists, because if they didn't think racism did exist, they wouldn't be scared of being outnumbered. But they understand the ways that we have treated people of color has been atrocious, and thus they are scared of the tables turning and of being in that position of subjugation.
I think the thing that scares me the most about white male Republicans and conservatives is that they are by far the only group of people who support an ideology that fundamentally contradicts itself and doesn't make sense. It's only from the right that we would see group chats emerge where young men are actively and adamantly supporting Nazis and Nazi rhetoric while simultaneously using AAVE. It's only the right that will have Taco Tuesdays in the workplace while adamantly rejecting multiculturalism. It's this kind of ideology that doesn't rest upon logic. It rests upon emotion, the only other faculty to support one's unifying principle. And that's scary when these emotions that these ideologies and these individuals are running off of are ones of anger, ones of fear. When the demographic of people that we're talking about have been trained since birth to rely only on their self-control to sustain themselves and their emotional regulation. However, in desperate times when they do need to react, when they do need to let this, energy release, the only emotion they have access to is violence. No wonder this is the group of people who is responsible for almost all of the mass violent events that we've had in this country. And the contradictions within this kind of ideology and this kind of person become more and more prevalent as you push the ideology to its limit. When you reach the Nick Fuentes of the right, and you just find people who identify with the most incoherent ideology you've ever heard before. You find people who call themselves groypers, who are so dissatisfied with themselves and with their ability to find a relationship. Their hatred for women is so strong that they reject straight relationships and resort to only allowing themselves to date feminine men. Like, how insane is that for a group of people who also adamantly denies and rejects the LGBTQ community? Like, what kind of sense does that make? Especially when we realize that the person who is responsible for the pew-pewing of a certain guy named Charlie Kirk is more likely than not one of them. The person responsible for this event, for this act of violence that is actively making waves in our current day institutions, has been recognized by the President of the United States, aligns with an ideology that is fundamentally incoherent, contradictory, and fueled by vengeance and resentment and anger. And all of this is coming from the right. This is why it scares me. How can you contain a beast like that doesn't run off of logic or knowledge or education? How could this possibly be happening in a time period where we have more access to information and education than ever before? What does that say about us, and what are we going to do about it? Like, yes, sorry for getting political. It's chill though. It's fine. I'm just saying.
I've been hearing that there's a civil war brewing.
In the nicest way I can possibly say this, you are a murderer. All of the people that think like you have been itching to murder someone. You need no excuse. You just want to do it. The question I have is why? Why? You heard that there's a civil war brewing. You know goddamn well there isn't. You know that. No matter how much you gun humping amosexual motherfuckers say so, you know goddamn well nobody is going to civil war. You know it. But that has been your fantasy, hasn't it? That has been your goal for a very, very long time. It is not to come up with better ideas that help the American people. No, you don't like certain members of America. Certain people in America, you just don't like them. You won't admit it because you think you're going to get canceled, when in actuality, people are going to ask questions like, what problem do you have with that group? What problem do you have with that group? What problem do you have with that group? You just want to kill someone. And any old excuse will do. Civil war will do. And you know what? What bothers me the most about people like you? It's the fact that you think you could win. You really do. You think that the United States military is just going to grab arms against its own citizens and back you up. You think that the liberals, the leftists, the gays, the trans, the blacks, the Latinos, the Jews, the Muslims, the women, you think we're all just going to sit still and try to hold your hand while you think about and plan out ways to kill us. That's all this comes down to. That's all it's ever come down to. Literally, ever come down to is that. The idea that you are so desperate to make something out of your life other than being the mediocre white man that you've been since birth, and you think you can do this by reenacting something you were not alive for, and a side that lost, and you still cannot get over it. The idea of bringing up better ideas that help the collective, that shit never crosses your mind because you have an arsenal. And you feel like a failure if you don't get a chance to shoot at somebody. And that's all it comes down to. That's it. And this is why I loathe people like you. It is why I see you all as nothing but a detriment to American society. Because who in the fuck wants to negotiate or try to make life better with someone who's just thinking about going to war with the same people that are trying to talk to him? Homosexual, gun-humping idiots have absolutely no place in America. They don't. You bring nothing to the table except what makes your feelings feel good as opposed to what makes everyone's feelings feel good. You bring nothing to the table but violence. Your way always ends up in civil war because you cannot have a civil discussion. You cannot have a civil disagreement. But you damn sure could have a civil war. You have been filled up with John Wayne movies as if he was some sort of action hero. He was an actor. When it came time for him to actually serve in the United States military, he did not. But he's the epitome of the man with the 6 shooters. You have been hyped up on Clint Eastwood, whether it's the good and bad or ugly, good, bad, and ugly movies or the Dirty Harry movies. You think they're coming for my shit. I gotta be like Clint Eastwood. Do you feel lucky, punk? You have been inundated with Fox News telling you that the other is coming for your shit. Who's the other? Anybody that doesn't look like you or speak like you speak. You have no friends outside of your bubble. And everybody inside of it is literally helping you believe this shit. They're not telling you that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. They're not telling you maybe you should learn how to talk to people. No. Because they too can't wait to kill someone. You raise your kids like that. You marry women and you tell them this is how I am, deal with it, and they do. And they do. You go to church, not looking for the Jesus in the Bible. No, Kenny Loggins' warrior Jesus with a sword, an AK-47, an AR-15, and an army of angels who are all armed, ready to take out the gays, the blacks, the Mexicans, the Jews, the Muslims, and the trans. Why should we even talk to you people? What would be the point? What would be the point? Because we already know what we're going to get from you. Anything that looks different, that's what you want to go to civil war with. Anything, anyone that does not live the life that you live, who isn't all gung-ho for hard-ons for America, that's who you want to take off the census. And yet, you come online, you make threats, and then when somebody decides to call your boss, you're mad. Which begs the question, why were you mad now? Why weren't you mad when you were doing it? And that is the tragic irony about people like you. You have a brain. You could learn. You could learn to stop doing this shit. You could maybe focus on a salient argument that we would all have to pay attention to. Maybe have a conversation with somebody outside of that bubble. You have these opportunities, yet you do nothing. Instead, you continue to buy weapons for a civil war you want to have happen so that you get a chance to pop and shoot at the people that you don't like. And thanks to the First Amendment and you being born here, we all have to listen. Hell, some of our politicians say that you have a reason to feel this way. I am not one of those politicians. I believe you are more of a detriment than you are any sort of help. And I don't make a goddamn bit of secret about this. At all. You people are delusional, deranged, and dangerous. It is your mentality that leads to people getting killed at concerts in Las Vegas, at Walmarts in El Paso, at supermarkets in Buffalo, at children at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, or Parkland, Sandy Hook, Uvalde. And you don't see a damn bit wrong with this, which makes it the most tragic part of all. I bet you believe you're a Christian, don't you? Show me in the Bible where God or Jesus wanted to take out their enemies. They were just waiting for different people to show up. I don't even pity people like you anymore. I simply look at you as people we should ignore in society, we shouldn't talk to, we shouldn't platform, and we shouldn't take seriously. You need help. Maybe you should get it, maybe you'll get it, maybe you won't. But as far as I'm concerned, you're a waste of skin.
A lot of people think that really strong conservatives, especially MAGA, want people of color and everyone that they dislike out of the country. And I would strongly disagree with that. What I think they want is these people in line. And the reason I believe this is because their form of supremacy, of white supremacy, male-centered supremacy, evangelical Christianity supremacy, all of these things that they always center, requires having someone to step on. If you are supreme, someone is beneath you, right? And so I don't think that they want everyone that they think they want gone. They want them in line. And what I think that means is that they are punishing a select small group of people, these small groups, relatively small group of people that are being deported. And I'm not saying like those people don't matter, but I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, there's not been that many that actually have been. But they specifically target these people. They know that they will get media news coverage, and it is to scare people into not acting up. And I think that it's incredibly sinister to look at. But like when these people are their happiest, when they are the nicest, it's when they see the people that they constantly are stomping on in stereotypical roles, when they see them doing menial jobs, when they see them acting, talking like whatever, engaging with white people in the way they expect them to. They don't like seeing these people succeed and be educated and question the structure we have in place, because when they do that, that's when they say go back to your own country and things like that. And I'll give you a good example. If you ever want to go see a video of somebody that is in a very tough situation talking about how they live the American dream, or well, it was way worse in Cuba, or it was way worse in Cambodia, or whatever, and I'm not discounting those situations, people will be like, this person gets it. This person's welcome here in America. And it's not because that person is actually, touting the American dream. It's because they are accepting this lowly position that our systems have made for people that come into our country and have nothing and have to work their way up. And then most of the time don't make their way up very far on that ladder. Because one thing we do sociologically know at this point is that the American dream is basically not real. Obviously there's going to be a few success stories here and there, and people are always going to point to themselves as to why it is. But for the most part, most people do not have the rags to riches story that people talk about. So I don't think that these people actually want
all of the minorities that they hate gone. They want them back in this place of authority over them that they expect. And I think that is so sinister and so disgusting. And that's what we need to be looking out for. Because if the number one thing that we cannot allow is for people to fall for the idea that, you know, change cannot happen, that community does not exist, that nobody is doing nothing. Nobody's doing anything. And what we need to do is be aware that there are people still fighting for this, and that there are so many people that disagree with that. But with those extreme viewpoints on their end, it can feel very, very disheartening. Which is why we have to continue talking about it.
White people need to learn how to challenge authority instead of challenging minorities. Okay? Now wait, listen. White people have this innate need every time there's a Black person, Latino person, Arab person, person of color who says something that they either disagree with or feel like they disagree with or feel like they are the anomaly outside of that group of things that the person of color is talking about. They're just like, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, or what about this, or what about me, or how about this? But I'm just like, y'all have all this energy towards a minority who says something that you don't like, but when it comes to an authority figure that you don't like and they say something wrong, well, it's just like, oh, it's fine, or oh, they didn't mean it, or oh, I'm sure they were saying something else, or oh, just ignore that altogether, or oh, I have no power to change that, or oh, I don't know. It's just like, what do you, it's just like all these, y'all give every excuse in the book for an authority figure. But when it comes to a minority, you're listen, don't take this wrong, but like this is why the word Karen came to be. It was birthed out of white people, white women specifically, feeling like they need to exert their authority over people of color. And that's what it is. It's like, I feel like white people, they have, and I heard this from White Woman Whisperer, she was talking about how white people have authority, like they always feel like they're the father to the father or an authority figure to the authority figure, and they feel like inherently in their hearts that they are an authority figure to people of color. And so they feel like they have this divine right to correct people of color whenever they feel like a person of color is wrong or needs correcting. But they feel like because there's always this hierarchy in life, that whenever someone that they deem as above them, their parents or their grandparents or the police or the government or God, that is telling them to do something that they don't believe in, or that they do something that they think is wrong, they still have to do it because they cannot challenge authority. And that's why they also get so upset when people of color push back on them, because inside of them they see that as someone who is in a position of less authority pushing back on them, the authority. Are y'all listening? White people, y'all don't know it, but you have this inherent feeling inside of you that you are a authority figure to people of color. Like, that has been ingrained in you all since the reception of the United States of America, is that white people are the authority over people of color. Like, that y'all have always been placed on top, and from a political, financial, economic, like social standpoint, you all have always been placed literally legally given the authority over people of color. And that culture has never went away. It has went away on paper, mostly, kinda, but in practice and in reality, it never went away. And so a lot of you have in your minds, even though you don't know you have it in your minds, but you have it in your minds that what you think and what you feel and what you have to say is more important or more authoritative than the person of color who is speaking, because you are. Because you do, because it is. Like, whatever you have to say, you just genuinely with all your heart feel like it is more important or more legitimate than a person of color. And that, I'm not gonna lie, pisses me off. It pisses me off because, like, I talk about racism a lot on this page, and so the amount of white people who come into my page, especially this, I'm never gonna forget this post I made about blonde hair being racist, and every single white woman in all of America came into my page to tell me I'm wrong. And I'm just like, how can you as a white person tell me as a black person who has studied history, studied racism, studied socialism, studied public health, studied population, studied all these things through the lens of racism? How are you gonna come and tell me that I am wrong about racism? Someone who has experienced racism, a black woman who has experienced racism on many occasions in her life, overtly, covertly, and any other kind of way, you're gonna tell me you know more about racism than me. And so, and the excuse is that they feel like I don't know about what they like
like you're just like, oh, I like blonde hair because blonde hair is, I just prefer that. I just prefer my hair lighter. And it's just like, but when I ask them, why do you prefer that? Where did that belief that blonde hair is more pretty or more beautiful, where did that belief come from? They're just like, it just is. You don't question your thoughts. Don't question your beliefs. Don't question where a preference came from. You're thinking too deep. Now you're too woke. Now you're too woke. Now I'm the woke friend. It's fine. It's fine. I'm gonna just leave that there. I'm a little traumatized from that post. Not gonna lie, but that is what it is. Is white people love challenging minorities, but they cannot, for the life of them, challenge authority. Think about it.
Can someone please explain to me why conservative white men feel they are under attack in the United States? Because the last time I checked, every single US president has been a man. Only one of those men has been a man of color. White men have never been enslaved in this country. White men have never been denied their right to vote in this country, nor has that ever been on the fucking table. Just because people want the same rights that you've always had doesn't mean that you're the victim.
This is all I got from this video. Let me tell you this. Some people are very quick to call for war when they can't even fight. Some people will tell you to, yeah, we're ready. When the only thing see, let me tell us something. Some people have been looking for a way to use their Pe0ple, like, their Second Amendment, because that was why when SNAP benefits started and some people decided to use AI to make videos of black people or black women, because they use black women, AI videos saying that, that they are going to steal or something like that. Mind you, this was not, black people did not say anything, right? And, some of them started saying, especially the white men, I am being specific, white men started saying that they are going to use their Second Amendment on black people just because of food. So this has always been their signature. They are always looking for a way to cause problem that will result to them using their second Amendment for no reason. See, sometimes they've been saying this, it's not new. But one thing about these people is that whatever they say is actually what they have in their mind, because they are always looking for an opportunity to do some certain things. So whatever they say anything today, I don't take it for granted because I know what they meant. Yes. Just like the way Stephen Miller said that led for him is going to be 100 million people that look like him. And before we know what is going on, they started doing some bad things. So I did not take some of their talks for granted because they know what they are doing. Before you know what is going on, there will be another pin going on. See, one thing I have noticed about, especially for white men, some of them are so ignorant that they do not even want to correct themselves. I don't know how somebody just chooses to be ignorant for no just reason. And being ignorant is just so crazy that you do not want to even improve. Like you just want to continue to be ignorant for the rest of your life. It's disgusting. So you want to come to, you are looking for, he's looking for people to fight with. Fighting with people, will it solve your problem? Of course, it's not going to solve your problem, not until you get your jaw broken. Because some of you think that you are strong, not until one black young boy, not even man, young boy, comes out. And then the next thing is, what does this sound mean? It means emergency. Emergency. You guys will end up in the hospital for how long? Go and ask some people at, I think, Mississippi, the one that said that they thought that black, some people just want to be in every black person's business. That was how she ended up in the hospital. And then the day she woke up after how many, she said she's still in fear. Why are you in fear? You guys do not know boundaries. Now you are calling for this, not until you say it. I am not saying anything will happen, but I am also saying something might happen. The only thing they want is somebody that will be under, like every other person explained, underneath them. And they are, see, one thing I have known about black people is that I have never woken up to see black people trying to create case where there is no case. The only time you see black people trying to respond to them is when they have said nonsense. But black people do not wake up thinking of you people. Black people do not wake up thinking of segregation. Coming out to, it's only when people come out to say it, they say, oh, fine, let's do it. That is how disgusting some of you all attitude is. You guys can do better. Why are you guys scared of being outnumbered? Why are you scared of being the minority? But some people have, in your own words, some people are actually minority. Because why is, some certain things that happen to Black people that I learn from them, what I do is just keep quiet and watch out for some certain things, and you see it playing out. I remember so many videos that I have brought here about a white woman screaming, "Why are you treating me like a minority?" So it means that they knew that there is how they treat minority in their own words. You are scared of being outnumbered. Is that why you wanted to make everywhere all white country? A whole diversified country. I have never seen people that are as scared, that is as scared as you people. Every day you wake up to be scared. You guys haven't even started. You better really be very, very scared. You really better be scared. I will draw my curtain here. Bye for now.